day. We tried to get their trust and earn their trust. And once a whale trusts you, it's it's just peanut butter sandwiches the rest of the
So
season.
as
I mean,
cool as
you
all that
establish
is,
a trust relationship, and they love you, and they want to come to you because moms need to rest. They need to sleep. So if their kid, the kids never sleep, so they're always like, "Hey, mom, 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 what about this? Mom, mom, mom," and they're like, "Junior, I need a nap." So they're so happy to be able to bring their calves over to the boat, and we'll play with them for an hour, and she can just crash. And that's what she'll wake up every once in a while and make sure things are cool and that Junior's there. Like every few minutes she'll wake up and like, okay, that's cool, because she knows that that calf's not going anywhere if it's being stroked and petted and scratched. That calf's not going anywhere. So she knows she can have a good nap. It's bizarre. It's wonderful. It's so exciting. The friendships that we have forged in the last 30 years have been mind-boggling.
so
And they
as
choose, they know every person in the boat. They have a scanning system where they can scan you, and they know what's in your heart, and they know who's who. And like if you have a terminal illness or if you have an emotional issue, kids with anyway with problems, then the whales go and focus on them and just hang with them and try and cheer them up. And who knows what they're doing, but they choose who they go to. And I take video footage of every trip, so I have a lot of video footage of whale behavior that I study. That's what I'm doing right now, is looking all through my footage. But the season lasts from January till March, till the end of March, and then I've worked on all my photo IDs, and now I'm getting to the video.
So I'm
fun to watch it all
curious
over again.
about this relationship that you're talking about that has been formed over 30 years. A couple questions on that. Is
Sure.
as cool and neat as it is to think that, like you said, that the relationship, the friendship that has been created between the two species, and there's got to be a lot of positive things to come from that, but are there negative things as well? I mean, are whales supposed to be friends with humans, and is it okay that whales are comfortable with humans, and is it teaching the babies something that is ultimately detrimental to their existence? And I don't have this isn't a leading
Good
question. I'm
question.
just
That's a super
curious.
good question. And I ask that question a lot, but I have an answer. A favorite saying of mine is, any human habituated animal is going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
The very first animals to die are inevitably human habituated animals. Doesn't matter if they're bears or squirrels or you name it. If they become human habituated, they're going to get too close to humans, and they're going to get killed. They're going to get run over. They're going to get, hit by boats. Things are going to happen. They're going to get, perhaps harpooned. So I used to think that was going to be a real problem. But, outside the lagoon, gray whales, just the whole friendly thing, they stop it. It's not prevalent outside. It's becoming more prevalent. But, for example, I've had friendly encounters with whales on about 98% of my trips throughout the season. And once they leave the lagoon, they know. Gray whales are super intelligent. Well, all cetaceans are. We can't even begin to imagine how intelligent they are.
Yeah.
So they know. They figure it out. They know that they can't go up to every boat. They know they're getting hit by ships and boats. They realize that. So with gray whales, I don't think it's a problem. Maybe bears and maybe other animals that aren't quite as intelligent. But if whales were just making friends, they'd be friendly to all boats out there. But one of the reasons for friendly behavior is that in the lagoons, they have leisure time. They're not feeding and they're not traveling. They're not migrating. So they're just biding their time in the lagoon, swimming around, taking care of their baby, raising their baby, making sure that baby's going to be strong enough to make the migration. So they have a lot of leisure time. And they're teaching their baby, and they use our boats as a teaching tool. They'll bring the babies up, and they will push the baby into the propeller, into the skeg, to get cut. Now, it's a cut, and you can see it, and it bleeds a little bit, and we see it all the time. And it's like, why did you do that? Why would you do that? Well, they're trying to teach that baby propellers boats are dangerous. If you get on this end of a boat, it's like standing behind a horse. Somebody's going to tell you, maybe you shouldn't stand there, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they do. They bring their babies. They teach the babies that this is the boat. And I'm not exactly sure why they push the boats around, and I think they just play with us. It's something it's like a dog, a puppy. It needs something to play with. It has all this energy. They need something to play with because they flip the boat. They do head tosses like horses that are excited. And, the mom is just trying to entertain their kid. It's like bringing it to the babysitter, bringing it to daycare. Bring it over to the boat, and I can rest. The kid's going to have some fun. And whales are now enjoying kind of messing with the boats, like pushing them around, lifting them up, tossing them with their head, to the point where sometimes it gets a little rambunctious out there. You got to be careful. It's like animals that get worked into a frenzy. It's like, yeah, maybe it's time to go. They get excited.
So you'd mentioned, you've been doing it for 30 years. One of the other questions I had was, do you recognize the same whales? I mean, are you familiar enough with them where you see the same whale year after year?
Well, that's the beauty of long-term study, is that it's not just a quick, 8-week or 2-month gig kind of thing. No, I'm here every year. And I've been doing photo ID for the long run. So whales have scar tissue and birthmarks, and that's how we can recognize them, is from the scar tissue and their coloring and things like that. So once you get really good at it, you just look at it once, and some feature stands out to you, like, oh, she has a big heart-shaped scar on her back or her flank or her nose or something. And we name whales for there's my favorite whale. One of my top 10 favorite whales is Pinocchio. She's a female, and she had a baby this year, so she was back again. Last year she was here, and she mated and got pregnant in the lagoon. And she's a very, very friendly whale. So, if a whale's really friendly, you see it every single day. So you kind of get to know her, and you get to know where her spots are and their size. And they also have what we call knuckles on their back, which are ridges. And those knuckles always have every whale has a different configuration. It's like the shape of a nose. Or we kind of liken it to breasts because, some are really perky and pointy, and some are just flat little bumps. And it's like, look at the knuckles on that girl. Kind of fun. So, yeah, no, I have like I said, I have my top 10 favorites, which they're not there every year because they're not giving birth every year. And the calving intervals are spreading out when they want to stop mating, stop reproduction. For example, they're going to have to, this year I hardly saw any mating, and I bet next year we have very few calves. This year we had half the number of calves that we usually have, probably because of the lack of food in Alaska. The amphipods are suffering because of the ice flow, and the ice packs haven't formed, so the algae on the bottom of the ice pack, that algae is not falling, the dead algae isn't falling onto the amphipods. So the amphipods aren't getting fed, which is what gray whales eat. So if they're not getting fed, so if there's not many of them, or if they're not healthy or big enough, the whales are going to suffer. And I think that's what's happening.
Well, you'd mentioned that earlier, actually what you said to me was you've hardly seen any whale penises this year, which I thought was kind of funny.
We saw one. And when you see one, because they're hot pink and 12 feet long and 3 feet at the base. Like, they're seriously, like hot pink. I mean, in a land of, the water's green or blue and the blue sky and the gray whales, like something huge and pink is like, whoa, what was that?
Yeah, you had me at 12 feet.
They call it the Pink Floyd. That's kind of our name for the big guy.
Okay,
usually I see a lot of mating, and I just didn't see it. Nobody saw it. We have meetings, and we talk to other boat operators and people working in the lagoon, and everyone said the same thing. Hey, have you seen any Pink Floyds? Like, no. Have you? Like, nope. So that means there wasn't as much mating. So pretty sure next year we're not going to have a bumper crop of calves.
But so that doesn't mean
they need to limit the population. They're back up to their original population size, so they need to chill out on that.
You told me that San Carlos and San Ignacio lagoons are kind of like, the way I took it, they're the minor leagues when it comes to whale watching.
Yeah.
And your lagoon,
yeah. Go ahead.
Well, so here's what I wanted. I would like to paint this picture for the listeners. Let's just assume we get some people that are interested in this whole process. So I reach out to you and I get a reservation to come stay at La Bufadora, and I find my way out to you, and I want to go whale watching and get the full experience. Can you kind of paint that picture for what's going to happen and what I should expect or what listeners should expect if they take the plunge to come down and do this with you?
Sure. Don't miss it. A lifetime experience. Yeah, I have a number of different things. I have people want to stay in a hotel. A lot of people don't want to camp. They'd like to stay in a hotel. And I have a good friend who has a nice, small, new hotel. So my group stays there. I have a little, in Spanish they call it a salon, the Whale Magic Tours salon, but it's like a little area where I have a lot of whale things on display, and not a museum or anything, but anyway, and there's couches and stuff, and I do whale talks in there. So I have different packages, and I do have a website if you want to see the different packages and what I offer. We also have a remote whale camp, so you can camp in cabins or tents on the beach. We have a couple different options for whale camps, and it's pretty cool staying out of the camp because there's whales right in front of your tent or your cabin. I mean, right there. That's pretty fun. And the food is phenomenal because the fishing co-ops that run the boats, they provide fresh fish caught that day. A lot of times, sometimes people that come to whale watch, they'll whale watch in the morning and fish in the afternoon and provide food. And we have lobster because they're in the lagoon. Well, it's kind of interesting because the co-ops in the lagoon, they have to stop fishing for lobster and other things in the lagoon while the whales are there. So this gives the lobster fishermen something to do. They drive the boats. They use the boats for that. And we get great fresh lobster out of it, and clams and oysters. They have oyster beds there. The food's really off the charts good. So there's a couple different options. You can come down and do the overnighter or 2 nights or 3 nights or a week tour where we take you to cave paintings. You know, there's a whole bunch of different things they can do. Most of it, people drive themselves down. We can charter a plane from Tijuana. We can do that. But we have to get somewhere between around a dozen people to do that to make it worth.
Where's the plane land? Is there a strip there in Asuncion?
Yeah, no, but actually, all my whale trips, I moved to Guerrero Negro in January. So I spent January, February, March. Yeah, because I do trips every day. I'm out there every single day, so, unless it's a horrific storm or something. So, yeah, everything is based out of there. But what a lot of my guests do, because Asuncion is so beautiful, and I have inn-sitters here running the inn that do it every year for me. And so they come down to Guerrero Negro, stop there first, because usually they're coming down from the north, and stop in Guerrero Negro, come out for a day or two. I suggest 2 days because 1 day is just not enough. The first day you are so overwhelmed and totally like you are just like, oh my God, and you just don't notice anything. But the second day you go, you're like, oh yeah, okay, because I explain what they're doing, all their behavior, and you know, when there's a huge 40-foot whale right at you and under you and lifting its face, its chin on the boat, people are overwhelmed by that. And they're not hearing what you're saying. They're not looking at, they're just amazed.
Blown away,
like,
yeah.
You know the feeling. So
I got to tell you,
going at least twice.
Here's a reason why you got to go at least twice, because the day that I went in San Carlos, and again, it was mind-boggling. I went with 2 other guys, and we had one video camera and a camera between us, and both the video camera, and this was pre-digital camera days. It was when you still had film, but the battery in the video camera went dead like almost immediately, and for whatever reason, we didn't have film in the still shot camera. So the one day that I got to experience the most amazing thing with whales, we have no photo documentation. And if we had gone 2 days, we maybe would have figured that out. So go for 2 days minimum.
But you know what? I often encourage people to just take a couple pictures and put your camera away.
Yeah.
Because the experience of a lifetime is right in front of you, and it is amazing. I mean, what other animal in the world pushes their baby up to you so that you can kiss it? Like, none. You know, be there in the moment. And I take tons of pictures. I take GoPro of footage of the whole trip, and take lots of pictures. I'm pretty good at taking pictures of people with whales. So put your camera away, seize the moment, enjoy the whale. I'll do and that's another reason about going with a guide. I'll tell you what's going on, and if it happens to get a little, I won't say dangerous, but we can. I'll let you know what's happening, because they are wild animals and things do happen, and especially in rough weather, you come down on top of a whale, they get mad. And
So I've got a question for you.
Yeah, so it's pretty easy. WhaleMagicTours.com, www.whalemagictours with an S. And all my packages and pictures and all my videos. I have a bunch of videos on there of other trips. So if you want to see what it's like